Boom! Viewers, subscribers, welcome back to the channel and good day to you wherever you are. Guys, I'm on my way this morning again to go and pick my daughter up, take her to drop her to school. I'm enjoying doing that. I don't really get to do much of that, you know, as she's here in Jamaica and I'm over there in the UK. Well, I'm living in the UK permanently. The plan was for her and her mum to come, but the relationship didn't work out. Alright? Or the marriage didn't work out. Yeah, so this morning I want to talk about, well, I'm going to give you guys a bit of a story time this morning. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my dad and my stepmom. I had 7 siblings, and on my dad's side, one of my older brother died almost 20 years ago when I was a little youth, man. So yeah, I'll tell you guys a little bit about that. And the story is gonna be today basically about my dad and my stepmom. So I'm gonna probably give you this story in 2 parts. This thing needs tightening. So yeah, so how I met my stepmom, how I remember meeting her, because from pictures and stories, you know, I have met her before I could actually remember. So some of you might have heard some of the story already, because I did do little story times here and there. So when I was about 8 years old, my mum, my actual mum, my real mum, beated me brutally, yeah, where I had to run away. And when I ran away, I got to my dad's house. Didn't see my dad's car on the drive, right? So I thought he weren't there, so I decided to sit down in the lane, because my dad lived in a little lane at the time. So I decided to sit in the lane and wait for him to come. Anyway, I think my stepmom saw me when I came to the gate to look, you know, and maybe she was on the, what we call a veranda. We don't really have a veranda in England. We have a veranda here in Jamaica. So she might have seen me, and she came out and got me, and that was the start of a brilliant story. So she looked after me like she was my mom for quite some years, you know. So in Jamaica, people are a bit illiterate when it comes on to teenagers and stuff like that, you know. So, you know, when you're getting in your pre-teen age, your teenage years, you start to behave erratically, you know. So that's how me and my stepmom started to drift away. Somewhat my mom played a massive role in that, you know, because for the many years that my mom wasn't in my life, obviously she when my dad took me, because my dad didn't send me back, so when my dad took me, she didn't come back for me basically, but she somewhat sorted out herself and went to Britain. So I didn't see her for many years. One of the times I was starting to forget how she looked, until I started getting pictures of her and my family back in the UK, and this was like 2004, 2003. I think she would come back to Jamaica the first time in 2004. Yeah, the ending of 2004. So yeah, that's when my mom started coming back in my life. I started to act out a little bit, but I don't know if it's, you know, sometimes adults, they don't have any understanding to stuff like that. They just think, oh, the child has no manners and stuff like that. Anyway, long story short, a very good relationship that me and my stepmom had went to shit, guys, basically. She raised me, and whatever she bought for my sister, she would buy for me. I have pictures, I'm gonna insert one of them. You know, she would dress up me and my sister in the same clothes and stuff like that. She would go to doctor's appointment. Something that my stepmom done for me that my mom's never done. You know, well, not while I was conscious and known about it. You know, if I was sick, she would look after me. I remember when I was young, I pooed myself, she looked after me. I vomited, she looked after me. You know, rubbed me down with alcohol and stuff like that. I've never seen my mom done anything like that for me. You know, not saying she hasn't. You know, I just weren't conscious enough because I'm sure I would have been sick when I was a kid. Anyway, my stepmom, the relationship got very sour. You know, because my mom was inserting herself, telling me to do stuff. I was doing stuff because I knew she weren't my mom, or my real mom, but she was my mom. You know, the older I get, I realize that she was more of a mom to me than my actual mom. Mate, I need to sort this thing out when I stop. Yeah, so the older I got, I realized that she was actually a mom to me more than my actual mom. However, fast forward to the time when my dad died, you know, so I would speak to my dad on a regular basis until probably the last 2 years of his life, because my dad was a man that he worked all his life. He worked for the government of Jamaica. He had a little small business going that my stepmom used to run. Anyway, there was a dispute at work, and they ended up sending him home. He lost his pension. He was battling for years with them in court until they reinstated him, and he decided he didn't want to do that. And anyway, he got a payoff, and I think shortly after he got the payoff, he ended up dying. But let's rewind the story a bit back, right? So my dad had a small business going. He was building a nice house. I'm gonna take a picture of that house as well. It's still unfinished now, and I'm gonna insert it. Things were starting to get difficult basically for him. The love that I have for my father, yeah, because there was no one like my father to me. You know, my dad was my hero. I looked up to him. I always wanted to be like him, so everything I did, I patterned him. You know, when I was a kid, say for example, my dad didn't come home until late one night. I could hardly sleep. You know, and then soon as I heard that he came home, I would go straight to bed. You know, but anyway, things got really sour with me and my stepmom. You know, because of my mom. You know, and some of my doing as well. But I realized that she started to treat me different. You know, she started to treat me different. She would tell me she would cook. She would not give any to me. She would say I'm a man. When I was 14 years old, I started washing my own uniform, my own clothes. Which, granted, you have to teach your kids, you know, to do stuff. So that weren't a problem. You know, she started telling me stuff like she would poison me. She would tell me stuff like, you know, she would do stuff like that. At one point, she leaned up the bed that I was sleeping on, you know, after her older daughter lied on me, which would have been my older stepsister, lied on me that I was trying to molest her. And this is why you guys see that I fight this fight here, yeah, because some guys, they do it and they lie. Her daughter told the lie on me that I was trying to molest her, which it was the other way around, you know. So I was molested by her. Anyway, long story short, yeah, coming up to the time when my dad died. So no, let's rewind. I left something out, right? So my dad started to go down financially. You know, he couldn't finish his house. He ended up losing the spot that he had his business. They sold it out. He had to move the business. So there was a lot of stress. So I think that contributed to him dying. But for me, up here in the UK, you know, up there in the UK at the time, I wanted to help so bad. You know, I'd pray to God every night. Some nights I'll go to my bed, I'll cry, because my mum would treat me like the worst, because me and her never bonded. You understand? Me and her never bonded because she's been gone for years, and my mum don't have the patience to deal with nothing like that. So me and her never bonded at all. So she's not even a mum to me like that. But one thing I never done, I never disrespected her like I see my little brother done. Right? Cool. All of that said, right, me and her never bonded. But I was starting, like, whenever I had a problem, I would phone my dad, and my dad would talk about it. I'll feel better, you know, I'll feel better. My dad now, the last 2 years, I weren't speaking to him much because I was so ashamed that he started going downhill, and I couldn't help. And I hated to see him like that. But he wasn't cash rich, but he had assets, you know. But my dad weren't the type to sell his stuff, you know. He weren't the type to sell out his stuff. He was hanging on in there. Him and the parish council had a dispute. They ended up paying him quite a few $1 million. Right? He never lived to spend $1 of that. However, fast forward to the time when my dad died now, right? I didn't even have money to go home. That was so embarrassing, because I had my first daughter, DUJON'S. I was working something like £400 a month. My rent itself, because I had DUJON'S. Mum had an older daughter, which was my stepdaughter. It was the four of us in a 1-bedroom flat. So a 1-bedroom, toilet, kitchen, and a living room. That's it, right? I was in debt, credit cards all over the place, loans, payday loans. I was in debt, all right? So I couldn't help my dad, and I hated to see him like that, you know. My dad couldn't even change his car. That's how bad it was. And I got some really rich uncles down here, his brothers, and I know my uncle Caswell was helping him, because my dad told me. My dad told me so. So my uncle Caswell would help him to do stuff like pay his bills and stuff like that. You know, give him some money and stuff like that if he needed stock for the business and stuff like that, because the business started going downhill as well. Granted, right? I realized now, when my dad died, I realized there was a slight conspiracy going on down here with my dad's side of the family, you know. So when my dad died, I went round to my dad's house to meet up to see my stepmom, because I basically phoned her and asked her, did they need any help to bury my dad. My stepmom said to me, right, no, things wasn't that bad where my dad couldn't bury himself. Alright? My dad told me that he had life insurance. Right? So I asked her about it. I said, does my dad have life insurance? She said, I don't know if she thought I wanted to claim something, because that wasn't, it's just that in England I have life insurance, and I know that if I die and I don't have money to bury myself, they'll bury me and pay out the rest of my kids. So that's why I was asking that question. Right? I asked her, I said, does my dad have life insurance? She says, no, it lapsed because they weren't keeping up the payments. Cool, I left that alone. So I traveled from England, landed in Jamaica. Granted, I had to borrow money to come to my dad's funeral, so I couldn't help pay for nothing. Right? I was destitute. I was flat broke. Alright? Couldn't help pay for nothing. However, I was willing to borrow a loan to pay for stuff if needs be. I ended up taking a loan from my mom, you know, which was probably my own money that I was using to pay bills in her house. Anyway, couldn't help with that. Came home and I realized the minute I got around to my dad's house and I took up, there was a picture with me, my little sister and my dad. I'm gonna insert that as well. And I took up the picture, and my auntie Evelyn, and I don't give a fuck, so I don't give a fuck. No one's minding me. I look after myself. I pay my own bills, so I don't give a fuck who wanna feel upset. Anyway, my auntie Evelyn, because I'm gonna cool names in it, told me that I can't have that picture. And that's when I realized there was a grand conspiracy against my dad's kids. Anyway, my family, my own blood, took side with my stepmom, which I'm gonna tell you something right now. I'm gonna tell you guys something. If fair is fair, right? I sound angry, but I'm actually not. If fair is fair, my stepmom did 26 years or so, or 25 years or so with my dad. She's been there all my life. She's the reason I can wash, cook, clean. She is the reason I can read, because I couldn't, because my mom wasn't paying me that attention, right? So credit where credit is due, and she looked after me over the years and made certain I was strong and able. Yeah. If fair is fair though, right? My family, I'm not gonna say everyone done it, but I definitely see my auntie Evelyn, you know, took side against her own blood. Yeah. And they sat there and watched my stepmom and one of my dad's kids, just one, took everything my dad had, every single thing my dad had, went to my stepmom, who my dad weren't married to. They done 26 years, so she deserves something. Did she deserve everything? No. Alright? My family sat back and watched my stepmom, who is now married to an ex-man, not even 2 years probably after my dad died. So our next man is living in my dad's yard, benefiting from my dad's hard work. And that's all because of my family. Yeah. Now, if you ask me, she did deserve something, but she didn't deserve everything. However, that's done and gone. We're all adults now. When my dad died, my youngest sister I think was 19 or 18, so we're all adults. So my dad always taught me that I needed to fend for myself anyway, so that's what I'm doing, and that's what I was doing. You understand? But saying that to say this, there's a lesson in this for even me, so I'm making the appropriate steps now in my life, right? But us black people, we don't consider, you know, our kids after death, and this is our biggest problem, you know, because some of the stuff that my dad had could have helped me on the ladder, you know, where I could have had a better start, you know, in my adult life. That gone and said now, yeah. When my dad died, you know, my sister Dina said that my stepmom killed my dad. However, they said it was me who said it. I don't know who said that, but they said it was me who said that. Right? Not that I care, innit? Not that I care. But I didn't say it. However, that's gone and done. Me and my little sister, not the youngest one, but she's a younger sister than me. She's one of my youngest sisters. We used to have like a really good relationship. That's ruined now, because my dad didn't put stuff on paper basically, and that's not even really the reason, you know. That's not even really the reason. Cause I could care less. I have my own stuff. I'm working. I'm acquiring my own assets. You know, I'm doing what I'm meant to do. So my kids don't have to go through all of that when, God forbid, I die. You know, so yeah, that's. I'm gonna continue this story, but I'm coming close to my daughter's house now. I need to get her, so I'll continue this story. There's gonna be a part 2 to this story. I'm gonna tell you how this whole thing, it happens a lot here in Jamaica, where family members die, your father dies, or a mom dies, and people get even murdered because of stuff like this, you know. So yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Whoa.